So now, hi
Look at
everybody.
you all fancy with the starting soon screen and all that.
How's everyone doing?
Good afternoon. Hope everyone is doing well today. DM Geese, Jim, and Josh here for D&D chat,
Yeah.
Planescape, 5e release time. What do we think? Yeah, it's like, oh god, here we
No,
go.
this is gonna be one of those that I don't think Jim and I are gonna like argue over this one, but I think we're gonna disagree in some places on it.
um,
And not like it's gonna be like a huge big thing, but like I I'm honestly for this. I know that it's not everything that you know that's been published before and stuff like that, but I mean honestly, I think that like for what it is for new players, I think it's good.
dude, it's the simplest thing I can say is I go to the restaurant knowing the fucking porterhouse that is Planescape, and they hand me a cheeseburger and fucking Burger King fries. You have never been to this restaurant. You don't know what the porterhouse is, so the Burger King fries and the cheeseburger is just fine. That's the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You know,
and I
I'm
agree.
not saying it's bad, but if you know what's out there, it's
Yeah.
somewhat
And a lot of
fulfilling.
people
Now,
have expressed the same thing, where it's like, oh, if you remember Planescape from the '90s, you're gonna be disappointed by this, but if you're new players, you're gonna love it. This is gonna be the best thing that you've seen released by Wizards in the last year. You know?
the one caveat I will say from the old timer point of view, it's up to this point. I've read the entirety of the Sigil and Outlands book. I've read through the Mort's Planar Monster, blah blah blah, and I've gotten about halfway through the adventure so far. It's about 92% canonical. The changes they make are minor, minuscule. You can completely ignore them in favor of old content and be perfectly fine, or you could adapt the new versions of them. They don't affect the old content. So the changes are absolutely minor, but it's obviously a Wizards product because how they present distance, time, and space is inconsistent from one paragraph to the next.
Yeah.
So,
There's literally a paragraph in it where it goes, "There is no northeast, south, or west within this place, but we're gonna use north, south, east, and west just to make it easier for everybody."
I do that as well. We do that in
I
our
mean, yeah.
campaign.
Yeah, but I mean,
You know,
they directly call themselves out about it. They're like, "Yeah, we're going to present it like this, but that's not how it works." Like, they 100%
yeah.
like say that.
But yeah, I mean, we all, but you kind of need to be able to do that, especially theater of the mind or battle map as far as moving and orientation goes. But yeah, the idea of you know, the magnetic northeast, southwest, up, down, those are completely gone here. You know, so keep that in mind first and foremost. Yeah, there's a few terminology changes. There's a few little, but you know, it's personal tastes aside.
Oh,
But yeah, it's like you're reading about how they talk about the Outlands. It's infinite space, and even the map tells you this is infinite. Places are in relation to each other.
yeah.
But then it goes and tells you all the gate towns are equidistant from the spire and equidistant from each other. We're using circle geometry. That means they have to be in a specific fucking place.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, infinite doesn't apply when we're talking about the gate towns. But when you first say, how long does it take to get there? Sometimes it can take a couple hours. Sometimes it could take a couple of weeks. The statement is it takes as long as it takes, which is fucking verbatim from the old Planescape. But then they throw it in their own face and go, yeah, but except for these towns are the exact same distance from the spire. Come on, man. Fuck no. And then how
Well,
does that play in with the whole idea that a gate town can then dissolve into another layer?
yeah.
How does that suddenly not?
Being devil's
So ignore
advocate,
that. Ignore that one thing. Ignore that one statement, and you're fine.
being devil's advocate, I will say that just because they are equidistant doesn't mean that the distance doesn't change. That just means that they change relative to each other. So that I mean, just as far as this one moves too. You know.
To the spire as well, though,
Yeah.
fixes them all in the same pattern. So if one
Yeah.
is affected, they're all affected, but
Right.
that's not how they work.
Right. Yeah. I'm just saying. To be
Geometry
devil's
dictates that their
advocate, you can still
statement.
get infinite
There is
in
no
there.
devil's advocate. It's basic knowledge about how geometry works. You
Yeah.
cannot have fixed points that are also spatially fixed points that are dependent on each other for distance that are also randomly moving based on the universe. It does not work. So ignore the fixed point. That's all I'm trying to say. It just doesn't work. Geometry don't work that way, dude.
But
But yeah, that's my big minor quip about how they present the Outlands, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Outside of that, it's accurate to the second edition book. It's got all the places where they're supposed to be. It leaves out all of the gods except for the monster gods. But outside of that, fuck, if you got players primer to the Outlands, save yourself the money. Don't even buy the 5th edition. You got the same shit.
Honestly, my biggest disappointment so far is finding out that apparently we've been pronouncing everything incorrectly. It's not sigil, it's sigil. Oh, it's not.
Since when? Since
Apparently,
now?
apparently that's what it's always supposed to have been. That's what they're saying.
Shit. Whatever.
But fuck it, yeah. But or it's not carceri, it's carceri. Like, and I'm like, all right. Like,
what's up, bud?
Were those chocolates any good for you?
I had one last night. They're pretty good.
But
So
they're saying in their official stuff that the reason that they're pronouncing it that way is that they're paying respect to the originators of the area. So they're claiming that it's always been pronounced sigil.
Because they asked Gygax how Carcerai was pronounced when he first brought it up, because he's alive to ask him that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Well, I mean,
Fuck
none
them.
of those people are. Well, I mean, I was gonna say none of them, but yeah, I'm sure some of them are still alive, but most of them aren't. Yeah. They were old farts when they started making it.
Yeah. I completely and out of hand disregard any pronunciation issues of anyone.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't
pronounce
matter.
it how you gonna pronounce it, brothers and sisters out
It
there.
doesn't
Fuck the
matter.
world. Anyone says you're pronouncing it wrong, tell them to get the fuck off your table.
They're fictional names. It doesn't matter. But I'm just saying that like they've officially come out and be like, oh, this is how you're supposed to pronounce it, which is
they can't officially determine how a circle works versus fixed points versus infinity, and I care about how they can pronounce fucking whatever. That's geometry. You learned that in 5th fucking grade, and you're gonna talk to me about pronunciation? Fuck off, wizards.
I was gonna say, and if you're gonna do that, at least put pronunciation guides for the books in it. Don't just be like, yes, this is how you pronounce it. like
yeah. Again, these books, if you know Sigil, if you know Planescape, if you have even just the OG Monty Cook 1993 box set, the 5th edition books add nothing. Nothing at all. Save yourself the money. If you're an old timer, you got your 2E books, you've been converting it, playing it anyway, save yourself the $60, $50, unless you just want it on your shelf to look cool. It brings nothing to the table for you at all.
I mean, I like the adventure so far. I've not read a bunch of it, like I said, so I can't like fully say.
Take Well of Worlds, strip out the one god that's involved in Well of Worlds. Take the Great Modron March, strip out the dead god connection, and you have the same module. So if you have those two, the adventure thing actually is worse than what you already have.
From the way that I'm understanding it, the stuff that originally happened for Planescape already happened. From the way that I'm understanding it, like the Modron March already happened. From the way that I'm understanding.
Well, the Modron March has already happened.
Well, I mean, yeah, multiple times. But I mean, like as far as like the actual Great Modron March like module, apparently that has happened already. Is what I'm saying. Like,
well, it had to. I told. It had to have happened already because Orcus is back. Orcus is part of 5th edition. Prior to that point, Orcus wasn't there. The whole Modron March and Dead Gods thing hadn't happened yet until 2nd edition, so they could bring Orcus back and put Cransily on the throne as a drow goddess. It was all story building. Back in the day when they used to pay attention to how each universe affected each other and converse with each other when they wrote their stuff versus now how they can't talk to the guy next to him to get this difference between a circle and distance, you know?
But, I like I said, I can see where people would need to homebrew some of the stuff from the new module, but I personally think it's fun so far. It's goofy. I will say it's goofy. Like
if I'm gonna be objective about it, it is perfectly fine as a product, as a standalone. If you've never touched Planescape before, and this is your first dip into it, there's enough. There's enough to get in there and play around, and they did a good job with Sigil. I'm not going to deny that. I mean, it's. Let me rephrase that. They did a good job in regards to the 3% that I have in print versus what they gave me being actually accurate. To the other 97% in comparison. But there's enough for you to start out day one in Sigil and have a good time there as a DM without a whole lot of extra lifting. That's true. There's enough in the Outlands with each each town to run your adventure without doing a whole lot of extra lifting. So it's day one out the gate. You can play it.
I also think we're all pretty much in agreement that this is probably what they're going to do going forward is Planescape stuff. So they will probably continue to release content for it.
No, that's what they're going to do with Spelljammer and Spelljammer flop. That's what they're going to do with Dragonlance and Dragonlance flop. They signed the Hickmans and the Weisses to a major fucking book publishing deal so they could go forward with it, and no one plays Dragonlance. Same thing going to happen here. They brought Teacher Lizzie back. They started consulting with Monty Cook with all the plans about it, and no one's going to buy it. No one's going to play it because you got people like me saying, don't waste your fucking time. All the good shit's already back there in the old days. The money you're going to spend now for 5% of the content.
I would be interested to see like how well it's sold. Like I would be interested in seeing those numbers. Because like I feel like there's more here for people than there is in Spelljammer or Dragonlance. Like I know that Dragonlance was like a big thing, and like people read these books and stuff like that.
Dude, and I'm a fan of Dragonlance, and I'm a fan of the module. The 5th edition released the what's it called? Shadows of the Dragon Queen, I guess it was. Shadows to I can't remember what it's called, but I enjoyed it. I love the tie-in with the Solamnic Knights, with Lord Soth, with the entire background in that region. I really appreciate how well it was written, how much it respected and honored the past, the legacy of Dragonlance. And I was kind of one of those guys, when they first released it, I was like, ooh, this is going to be big. This is going to be cool. And nothing, and it's not because of the quality. I think Dragonlance is going to run into the same thing with Dragonlance, is going to run into the same thing as everything else. When a player, a new DM gets interested enough in it to go to the next step and sees how big the next step is, they'll walk away. This is cool. I want to learn more. Here you go. I didn't want to read 32 pages, and I'm going to have to read 78. Fuck that. And that's just one plane? Fuck that.
I mean, we'll see. I think that they're probably going to do it in a similar way as this. If they're going to continue to build stuff out, I think that they will continue to do like this box set style thing, where it'll be like, okay, here's information about places, here's information about people, here's a bestiary for new monsters to fight. Here's your module. I think that they'll release them like that if they're going to move forward with Sigil. Yeah, so I think they'll try to keep it bite sized, because I think they're starting to realize that is a major issue, is that people aren't willing to invest their time into all of these big things. But if they drop it in bite sized chunks, people are more likely to look into it. And so if they go, here's a little bit, here's a little bit, here's a little bit, then people might actually fucking like get into it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
well,
also it's just the DMs that have to read these books, though. Like players don't really have to read them.
Well, that's my point. That's exactly who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the players.
Yeah.
Fuck, I can't. You got to get you guys to read 2 paragraphs to give you the spoiler. All the information you need to know for the town. I have to read the paragraphs out loud to you, and you hear the same information as reading it yourself. Players don't read any more than they need to, which is part of being a player. That's why you choose to be a player, not a DM. I get it. I dig it. DMs don't want to read either. I don't know how to fix that. That's not my job to fix. Yeah. I really don't care. 5th edition Planescape it's good enough if you don't know about if you don't know anything. I mean, that's what I'm going to
take it from. From the perspective of people who knew nothing about Planescape. This is their first time that they've been introduced to it. I think that this is going to do well. Like it's a fairly solid release. It really is.
As a dungeon master, I don't think it gives them enough to really do anything more than get themselves in trouble. What happens when we go through the gate at Cursed? Let me look at what the DM guide says. Carceri is a plane composed of Russian nesting doll style prisons that are interconnected with each other. There's many dour and evil people here. Have fun.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've still not gotten a chance to read through the whole book right now where it is. Have they actually done anything for these things? Because I know that they did.
For what things?
Let me get back into where this is.
Well, like for example, for the ones that tie in with their story, like Mechanus and Automata.
Yeah.
You get to go to Mechanus, and you get to ride this now all of a sudden magical train that goes through the plains under the power of the Modrons. That's another thing that really pissed me off. It's like, fucking really? Come on. It wasn't easy enough with portals. Now we got to put a train in? Really? Whatever. I know we're just leaning into the whole robot civilization, blah, blah, blah. Unnecessary, but maybe modern expectation. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's not going to be there ain't no train in my campaign. Fuck them. But point being, whether you walk in through the portal or whether you take the train, you arrive in this big city. And now to be objective, I understand why they're doing it that way, to really enforce the bureaucracy and the order and the systematic way of life in Mechanus. You know, there's nothing more infuriating than have to wait in 11 lines to get on a train, to get off the train, to wait in 11 more lines to do what you need to do. It is what it is. That's so I understand the design behind it. You don't need a fucking train to do that. Let them walk through the portal and do the same 11 lines. You know, it's there to be cute. It's there to be fun.
Yeah.
It's there to have little robot guys walking around with engineer hats saying "Greetings, Burke." Okay, fine. That's cool. No big deal. But there's a station on the Mechanist side of it with a little bit of an encounter, a tiny bit of information for one or two other NPCs, and then you're supposed to get the fuck out. The trips into the actual outer planes, I think there's 5 of them as part of that module, are step in, grab a MacGuffin,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
high five quest giver, and step the hell out.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I was kind of I'm over on my YouTube series. I'm going into. Go ahead.
Which I'm going to say, which is actually what I'm surprised about. Like I said, I've only read through the whole first chapter. I've not gotten much of a chance to read through much more of the adventure. But that's what I'm actually surprised about, though, is that you don't have to fight anybody if you don't want to in that section. Like, unless you like fall into it, like literally you can walk the fuck out of that exit and you're gonna level. Like they haven't built it around like you have to fight these things in order to level up your characters and get experience for it, which is why I'm kind of surprised about. Like 100%. Like it just literally says you get out of the fucking mortuary, your players get a level. You know? I'm not a big fan of like the glitch character thing, like at all. I think that is a gamification, which is another reason why I think this will do well, is because of the glitch characters. I think people are gonna really dig that, which I'm not a fan of. Or it's just like, oh, I died, and now I'm just gonna pull out this character now instead, who's also me. And like the way that they're like, oh, it could be anything as different as you're a different race, a different class, to it being just a cosmetic difference. Like it might just be like, I want to be this guy, but with a mustache. Like, you know, like,
Oh, you're not going to hear me arguing in favor of the
I'm
concept in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I skipped to the end just because I wanted to see like how the memory thing came back, so I read like a bit of that and stuff like that. I am kind of a fan of like the way that it climaxes, but it's very obvious that that's what's going to happen from the very start of it. But
you see, and I had
there's
talked
certain
to
things I like. I'm a big
see,
fan
the
of
whole
the dungeon world. I think that's kind of a cool thing.
what, the underworld?
No, Dungeon World, where it's like a plane where they're Dungeon World is a game that exists where they send players into, not players, but they send adventurers into dungeons and people just watch them like go through adventures and stuff like that. I think that as like a plane is an interesting idea. I'm not saying that like Dungeon World
Where
itself
was
is a good
that?
idea. Hold on, let me find it real quick because it's towards the end.
Because I literally just lost about 80% of the respect I had for this thing.
Hold on, let me find it real quick.
Yeah, it's just it's almost like,
it's not like a thing
let's
that like
be so meta, we'll break meta with our meta. Fucking really? Damn.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. I know that it's in here though, because I was looking at the
Probably inspired from the heavily enjoyed scene from the Dungeons and Dragons movie where everyone in Neverwinter watched the adventurers run through a maze of dungeon creatures.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's right here. Dungeon Land. An eclectic crowd of onlookers cheers as an image of a floating crystal depicts a knight being ravaged by a violent striped saber-toothed tiger. Several similar drifting crystals display other armed individuals exploring ruins and engaging in death-defying feats. Beneath, on an island of bare stone, floating amid a misty expanse, stands a plain archway and a circular desk attended by a well-dressed tiefling. Luminous symbols on a placard above the desk spell out bets, submissions, and enjoy Dungeon Land. Yeah, that's a thing towards the end of it.
Well, anyone that runs the module, let me know how it goes.
But it's like the platinum rooms. Like that's what that stuff is. I'd be willing to bet that stuff like this would exist in a place where they can jump into infinite fucking portals and to go to different places. Like people would do stuff like this. Rich people want to do stuff like this already. We already had fucking, coliseums and shit. People do stuff. Like people like to watch people fight and die.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
But yeah, that's part of it. That's what I'm saying. I skipped towards the end of it, and so I saw like some of the stuff in there, and like breaking the crystals in order to get your forms back and stuff like that. Like, yeah, there's certain things.
I can't feign anything less than more than disdain for the product. I just can't. I'm sorry.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I think that
for this is a bad stream because I have no excitement and no energy in regards to this release. I get it. People tune in watching me roll my eyes and go, "Oh hell no," and get off. And I apologize for that. But it's just, if the best I can say is if I didn't know anything about Planescape, it's okay. It might be fun, but I know, and it's not.
So let me ask you a question.
It's bad. It's wrong. It's badong.
Let me ask you a question though. Would you have been accepting of the product if they released exactly the same thing that you had already?
Yes.
Like if they just re-released all of the books that you had in 2E just as 5E.
Absolutely. Because that's giving the DMs the tools to be creative again. That's one of the things that I appreciate. And if you ever watched any of my streams or ever watched any of my reviews, you'd hear me say it quite often. There's nothing definitive or binary given in these things. That's the wonderful thing. You get a site, you get an idea, you get a theory, and then you get both sides of the coin. So you as a dungeon master are fully enabled to have a support to build your adventure around that is not dependent on a morality or a decision other than what you decide to make important. You're given the information for sites, for locations, for players, for personnels to build into yours, and you're given the tools to look at it from both sides. It requires work. There's no doubt about it.
But I mean, like,
absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, but I mean, like I think we would be here right now just going, oh, all they did was just re-release the stuff that we already had. Like if that's all they did, people would be complaining about that.
How much shit have we talked about Tales from the Awning Portal? We all both enjoy that book because it makes old classic stuff relevant for 5th edition and easy to transition over and use.
Well, I'm not saying that like they can't bring like old stuff back, which is what they're doing. But I mean, like if they would have just re-released if they would 100% have just gone, here's everything that was released originally for Planescape, people would have been like, okay, why you're just charging us for something that we already can buy? Like, why are you doing this? Like, the people would be pissed about that.
Are you serious? If I was able to get a digital D&D Beyond searchable version of what I have to dig through on PDF and anyone else in my generation, we would be like, fuck yeah. And then all of y'all would be like, this is 800 pages. What do I do with 800 pages? This is 30 maps. What do I do with 30? Tell me otherwise, dude.
I mean, but I mean, see, that's the thing though, is that like they can't get away with it though, is what I'm saying. Like they just couldn't. Like people aren't going to accept it, and there will be people that will be like, cool, this is something that I want you to do. But the greater majority of people are not going to be behind that. They're going to think that this is just a cash grab, you know.
I have to disagree.
I fully think, and this is just me, that D&D Beyond should
Why is Curse of Strahd so popular?
It's because of the setting of it. It's just the Gothic setting.
Because of the nostalgia of it. Because of the everything. Let me finish. Strahd is someone that's been recognized from 1986 to the current day as the epitome of a D&D bad guy villain. You're going to reprint Strahd in 6, you're going to reprint Strahd in 25th, and it's still going to fucking sell.
I think it's just the vampire thing, honestly.
Doesn't matter. It's a respect.
I think it's just the Gothic vampire setting.
Then why had the 3 or 4 or half a dozen cents vampiric driven modules not done well?
I've not seen any. Not like any big ones.
Because why are you going to try to compete with your own product and sacrifice your own product being a well-written module Strahd? Like I said, I respect and appreciate Ravenloft i6. I talk about Strahd with a lot of disdain just because I don't think you should run 15 levels there. It gets depressing and boring after that. Its domains are beautiful to drop in and out of. I've never said anything to the contrary. Yeah. They're not great for campaigns, but they're absolutely amazing for short adventures. Yeah. And we had Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, which was literally a reprint of Ravenloft and the Islands of Dread without the stat blocks that everyone rates as one of the best D&D books that 5th edition has released in many years.
But I mean, they've also have changed Strahd from the way that it was originally released, though. It's not the same stuff. You're not getting the same content that you got originally either, though.
You got really? Do I need to pull up the side-by-side comparison and show you the copy paste again?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know there's sections of it that are like that, but they've changed stuff in it.
They all they did was they added stuff. They didn't change a fucking thing. Barovia is the exact same. The castle is the exact same. The storyline is the exact same. They added to it is all they did. They put a bunch of extra shit to turn it into a 15-level adventure instead of a 4-level adventure. But the core of it itself is the exact same. They did, like I said, they added to Arkinvest, the windmill, all of those little side things that, honestly, if we're being honest, the skilled DM has trouble trying to connect to the story because it's not organically part of the story. Were additions to the actual core module that turned it into a campaign length rather than an adventure length, which is what it was designed for.
Yeah. Short
drop in and drop out of the domains of dread, which is what Van Richten went back to. Yeah. But Van Richten's, shit. You guys, if you've watched me before, I've gone page for page, line for line, and gone back into the other stuff and been able. This is cool. And it's the same thing. It's the same things. And a lot of people love Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. And all it is a summation, and reprint of Ravenloft, the Domain of Dread from 2nd edition.
I mean, I've not read the 2nd edition one, so I can't really argue against that or not. Like, I really can't. So, but I mean, but again, I don't think that they could get away with it. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't think that people would buy it.
They've already gotten away with it a bunch of times, and they're going to continue getting away with it, and it's okay. Give us something more than what they gave us is all I'm asking.
And I think they will. I do. I think this is going to sell well. Like, just based off of so far, like
I hope it does.
Because I mean, I was looking into stuff today. I've not really seen anybody talking really bad about it. Like I said, I've heard people say what you've said, which is if you've got the old stuff, you're gonna be disappointed by this. I've heard people say that, but all of them have also had the caveat of everybody else that doesn't know this stuff is going to love it, though.
I don't know that I'll say love. I admitted that right off the beginning. I cannot objectively look at this from a lens I can't pretend that I don't know what I know. Yeah. I can't do that. It's impossible for me to do that. So I'm not going to say if new people will like it or not. I have said that it will be plenty for someone that's never played it before to get into the setting. Yeah. And that's as far as I'm going to go. I mean, because that's as far as it goes. There's nothing more to say because that's all you get. Just enough to get into the setting. What else is there to say?
I mean, I guess you're not wrong. It does, yeah. It gives you enough to mess around within Sigil, within the gate towns of Sigil, and then it gives you enough.
I already said it did a good job with Sigil. Like I said, I do want to tip my hat. They did a pretty good job with. If you've never looked at Sigil before, if you don't want to dig through 6 books to get it, it is a pretty good source book for Sigil. Yeah. Tip my hat on that one. Yeah. Thankfully, they didn't stat block the Lady of Pain. So,
yes, that's what was my biggest worry for the.
Yay on that.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about
what else we got.
I don't know how I feel about the bad guy for this.
Shemeska?
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like that's, I don't know. I feel like it's just name recognition is the only reason that she's the bad guy.
I don't think that she ties in with that as well as Esteban would have with the interplanar trained consortium would have done a better job in context of what I've read so far as actually making sense, dealing with the factals, dealing with the cross trade between all of the portal towns and all of that. That Esteban would have been a much better bad guy, but then you're looking at the whole idea of an ogre magi and Oni, and we're not going to do that. So we'll go with Shemeska, the fox lady. And, we all know that people are into fox ladies, so why not put a badass demonic fox lady in charge of the whole thing? And some your player be like, hey, fox baby, what's up, girl?
Let me ask you a question, actually, because you've read more of this adventure than I have. What's going on with Rome? R04M?
That's the
how is he a rogue Modron?
That's their half-ass interpretation of Yellum. Remember how I was all excited they're going to put Yellum in?
Yeah.
This is the 5e version of Yellum.
How have they made him rogue, though, is my question. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't.
The idea, well, that's one thing the 5e says is that there's lots of rogue Modrons. There's cities full of rogue Modrons.
That's
according to
right.
5e
It
stuff.
does say that. Yeah.
You know.
That's weird.
Well, let's take it a slip further. And it can't. I mean, are you a nature versus nurture person? If you're a nurture person, then you can make rogue every fucking thing, and it's okay. Product of their environment versus the product of what they are. You know, look at all the Modrons that are toiling.
Or are they
created, no, made.
Okay. See, because in my brain they're robots, so that's I mean, they're built for a purpose.
They have organics, but how? So I always say Warforged are robots, and you'll argue vehemently that they're not. How would a being of pure energy, rather than being a laboratory creation, be more of a robot than the laboratory creation?
I don't necessarily disagree that Warforged are robots. I think that they're weird organic robots, kind of like Modrons, but I don't necessarily think they're not robots. Yeah.
So by your same logic, you can't be calling Modrons robots.
I mean, I guess.
Lawful Warforged die and become Modrons, dude.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, about yeah, and that's 100% true as far as like the cosmic wheel, the way they describe everything. That's another thing that I'm very interested in seeing is how that's going to affect life and death for characters now that they've introduced partitions into 5e.
Petitioners, you mean?
Yeah, partitioners. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that because that's not like new to their cosmology in 5e. It's not like new, but it's like new to their cosmology in 5e. So I'm interested in like how like what that's going to be with.
That should mean jack shit to the players.
Yeah.
Because players should never become petitioners. You're dead. You re-roll your fucking character.
That's fair. But I mean, as far as like resurrecting peoples, that's what I'm kind of thinking about.
Same rule.
Yeah.
Able and willing.
Okay.
Doesn't change any of the paradigms of anything.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I guess. I do know that I've seen a lot of people say that this is something they're going to use for party wipes now. Like, so if a party wipes, this is a way that they can continue the adventure.
As you all come back as petitioners?
Yeah. But, yeah. And then find a way back to your bodies kind of thing. But, yeah.
I guess it'd be a fun MacGuffin for some people.
Yeah.
But then why kill them? So we can add five sessions to resurrect instead of just resurrect them.
they're, like I said, they're just using them for like party wipes. It's not like, oh, 1 or 2 people died, we continue on with the campaigns. It's just like, oh, oops, I accidentally killed my party and I didn't mean to, kind of things. Yeah.
Like I said, no. If a DM kills their party, the DM killed their fucking party. There's any DM that says I accidentally killed their party is lying. Okay.
I mean, I guess
nothing made you continue hitting them.
I've seen some DMs that are fucking adamant about like, I don't give a fuck if my players die, they die. Like that are just
and that's fine.
Like antagonists.
You're killing your players.
Yeah,
and that's okay to say.
Yeah.
So then, but that guy's going, fuck you. You're dead. Reroll. You're not don't get to come back as a petitioner.
Yeah.
So it's a lost argument on either guy. You know.
Yeah. But yeah. I'm just saying,
it could be an interesting story building
use it though.
tool. You know, I could see it as an interesting story building tool.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's okay. I guess I like the updated art for the Outlands map is pretty cool.
I was going to say that the art in this book is fantastic. Like I've not seen
the sigil map sucks compared to the one. The sigil maps sucks compared to the one we already have.
The big one that shows the Outlands and stuff that's black and white. I'm not a big fan of that map that they have. That one's but
the map was okay. Some of the art is pretty nice. Some
all they did was they took the old,
pretty.
Yeah, but all they did was like take the old map, just strip all of the actual art away from it except for the lines, and then put names and be like, here you go. Here's what the Outlands looks like.
Yeah,
which is weird to me. I don't know why they would have done that. Like you literally could have copied and pasted it, and it would have.
No, there's a nice post. Go look in the there's a poster map of the Outlands. It's pretty.
Yeah, the front and back thing that they have. Yeah.
The sigil map not so much. But the sigil map. Use if you ever need to Google up sigil interactive map. Beautiful, wonderful, useful map. Not like the one that the Wizards gave us.
So here's a question: is have you you looked at the feats and stuff like that as well?
Yeah.
Are you going to implement any of these like magic items or anything like that into anything?
No.
Yeah, no, I didn't think so.
I already told y'all nothing out of this book is coming into our campaign.
Yeah,
There's no need for it.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. There's already better.
I'm interested because I was wondering about there's items that they have dropped
Well,
that let you look for
Portals.
now, which is wilds me. See, that's why I was wondering if you were going to give us anything like that eventually. Just like, oh, you can find a portal as long as it's within 30 feet of you.
First and foremost, all of that and more has already been part of your campaign. You just haven't encountered any of it yet. Okay. You know, you guys, we fumbled through a few sessions in Sigil. When I realized you guys weren't doing anything but standing there staring at shit, I kicked you out of the fucking city. So all of that stuff y'all left behind. If we ever get back to Sigil, then all of the portal keys, all of that kind of fun, cool shit will come into play again.
Yeah.
So we're in the Beastlands. This is as close to a regular D&D world as you're gonna get. That's why I put us here, to get you guys reoriented into something that is a little more recognizable.
Yeah.
You know. So no, there's nothing in the fifth. So when I say nothing from the 5e book is making it, because I don't need to bring anything, because there's all of that and more already part of it. Yeah. So I guess that's a better way to say it. You already have it all. You just hadn't interacted.
I guess it's fair. I do like some of the stuff. Again, this is taking it from the perspective of not having this stuff prior. I do like the idea of this can actually help players make a campaign of their own, where they are people who go out and hunt for these keys, or people who are, because that's like a job that already exists within Sigil. Is they have people that'll take you on tours, be like, here's a portal, or you can go and buy keys from them and stuff like that. Like, that already exists. Like, there's an underground market for it. So it could be fun for players to play into that now, you know?
If they'll bite on it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I had Kylie come show her tits and her ass to y'all, and y'all blew her off like nothing, and she is the #1 tout in the city.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And I have my other, but on the flip side of that, I have my other Planescape group that is, we need to finish this right fucking now so we can go back to Sigil, because this is bullshit. I want to go back to the city. So it's a tale of two different groups, man. Yeah. You know, you guys really bring into it. They're loving it.
Yeah, I really think that once we get out of our first section and we get back to Sigil, it'll be different, because now we have people who are different characters.
Yeah. I mean, some of this timeline being timeline is what it is. Certain things have happened and moved along.
Yeah, it will be interesting though, because I don't think that Phil's character is from the Outlands, but I am.
Yeah.
So I've seen these kind of things already, like mixed matched of people, and I'm not going to be blown away by the fact that, like, oh, there's an angel walking around with a demon. Like, that's weird. Like, but he will be.
Him and Tiki would be the only two that will, because the girls are natives of Sigil as well.
Yeah. So
but
it could be interesting.
No, well, like I said, it is what it is. Like I said, everything that's there has been there for you guys. Has been there in the campaign. It's just the multiverse is so big that you can't show it all to your players without them getting decision paralysis.
Yeah.
So then you filter it down to the point that 5e did, and you're just playing the same adventure with different colors. Well, finding the middle ground is the hard part, and 5e's release does not give you enough information to find the middle ground on your own.
And this is part of why I think that they are going to continue to build onto Planescape, is because of the multiverse thing, because that gives them free reign to go, okay, well, we can do this here, and we can do this here, and we can do this here. And
because Spelljammer wasn't supposed to do that at all.
I mean, yeah, it was, but people don't like Spelljammer. Okay, because like I think that Spelljammer will never do well as a D&D release, because you're like, hey, let's play D&D but in space, and it's like, I could do that with a better system already, you know? Like, systems already exist where I can play, you know, in space for stuff. Like, there's Star Wars systems, there's Star Trek systems that exist out there. Like, I don't think people go to D&D to play in space, you know?
Oh, I'm not going to argue that point, you know, so. But I guess here's my thing. This is nothing new. Product release sequentially, first edition, second edition did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Greyhawk didn't make it in 5th edition. Forgotten Realms, the whole world's about Forgotten Realms. Dragonlance didn't hit. Spelljammer didn't hit. Planescape didn't hit. Birthright didn't hit. Sell the company.
I mean, yeah, but I don't disagree with that. With that's being a thing that happened, and they're continuing to try to trot down the same path. But I really do think that they're going to try with Planescape like really hard, because like the whole multiverse thing is really in style right now, where it's like everything is like a multiversal thing, and like, oh, there's different versions of other things that exist out there. You can go do different timelines, and oh, this guy can actually take you to this exact place, but it's 400 years prior, and you can experience this stuff that already happened. Like, I think they're going to build into that, especially with the new 5e stuff coming out. Not 5e, 5.5, whatever you want to call it, 1D&D, whatever. I think they're going to try to build into that so that people have more freedom.
Maybe you're right. I guess I've been under the illusion that that's been the fucking game the whole time. I mean, and you're sitting here telling me that people are out there that genuinely don't realize that you can do that as part of D&D. You could do that the day one without anything more than the basic rules of the game.
I mean, yeah, and you're fully capable of doing that. I'm just saying that, like, I think that this is their way of going, yes, it's official, you can do that. It is building out into their universe.
We Hasbro that you hate give you permission to use a multiverse now. Nah, fam, I don't buy that for a second. Hell no. Come on, dude.
We'll see. Like I said, we'll see. I really think
if this was as much a nostalgia grab as it was an attempt to open up a new market. Otherwise, they would not have brought back Dieter Lizzie. They would not have brought back consultants as Monty Cook and all that to make sure that old dudes like me, who really shouldn't be, spent $80 on the alternate cover of art for something to sit on my shelf because it was Dieter Lizzie. Absolute fucking marketing. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fair. Yeah, especially since that was one of the first things they did was go, oh, Dieter Lizzie's coming back to do the art for the book. So, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, there's definitely a nostalgia grab for it, 100%.
Just like there was with Dragonlance, just like there was with Spelljammer, just like there was with Tales from the Yawning Portal, just like
I would be interested to see moving forward what they are going to do with some of these things. 'Cause I really think that they've been very reactionary, right? Where it's like, this doesn't do well, move on to the next thing. This doesn't do well, move on to the next thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd be very interested for them to just say fuck it and stick to their guns and push forward through something just to see what happens.
I believe they
couldn't just go, okay, well, we released Spelljammer, Dragonlance, Planescape this year. You know why they couldn't go, okay, well, we're gonna do the same thing next year. Here's an expansion to Spelljammer. Here's an expansion to Dragonlance. Here's an expansion to Planescape.
Well, let me throw this at you.
Yeah.
Okay, Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, same company. Anything that is part of Magic the Gathering is absolutely without flaw exclusively owned and licensable by the company to its own intercompany. We have the setting of Ravnica. There's a planet-sized sigil that has 11 years worth of product release and story, non-player character, etc. that is built into it through the Magic the Gathering set that has a larger player base than D&D. Why did that fail?
You just made me realize something I don't like it. Well, because it's not necessarily that those two groups cross over with each other. It's not necessarily that people who play Magic play D&D.
Because you guys weren't wetting yourselves showing each other your Vecna cards 2 years ago when the Forgotten Realms Magic the Gathering.
I do. I don't think Andrew.
A lot of people do, but that's what I'm saying. A lot of people did.
You know, I don't think that. I think some people bought the cards just to buy the cards. Is what I'm saying.
So you have. Yeah. That's my whole point. Is you have a big target when you start. When you draw the Venn diagram, there's a bigger overlap than you think there is.
Yeah. I'm just saying that, like, I just don't think that like everybody that plays D&D plays Magic and vice versa. I do think that there is people that overlap in the middle somewhere, 100%. But I just don't think that it's a large.
But I promise you, there's more people that recognize Ravnica than do recognize Planescape.
Probably, yes. Yeah, probably.
Okay, so you have all of this shit under your control. Why weren't they able to establish anything more with Ravnica than what they gave us, other than one stupid book? This is all their property, all their IP, all their everything. Why, that's my thing. They don't support anything they release, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
fair.
Shit, they wouldn't have had to pay anything to do the same thing they're doing with Sigil right now. They could have done with Ravnica 3 years ago and made it their own.
That's fair. That's fair.
There's no interest in it because it's work. If it's more than a linear adventure, it's too much work. Because when you start getting into concepts and ideas that big, DMs, we have to start planning exponentially now. I don't think it's because of the players. I'm blaming my peers for those settings failing and for Planescape to fail. Because there's a lot of work that goes into making these things more than one-offs or more than silly bullshit that they give you that we don't end up. And a lot of times it's genuinely, dude, I work a 40-hour fucking week job. I got a wife, I got kids. I don't have 5 hours to read before I do 2 hours of prep for my 5-hour session. I get it. Absolutely get it. So it's not an indictment as far as, oh, you guys suck. It's the reality of the reality. We don't have the time or inclination or maybe skill to invest in these worlds to build them up for our players. So we go from new release to new release to new release and then grumble and go, these worlds suck. I'm going to build my own. And then we try to build a world and this sucks. I quit D&D. And then you got 10 players that don't get to play anymore.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So I mean, it's and I don't know. I'm not saying there's a fix. I recognize it as a problem when there's so many different settings offered. You don't know where to land on it, and people they keep offering new settings. So people aren't happy with Forgotten Realms because that's not my Forgotten Realms. That's not R.A. Salvatore's Forgotten Realms. Fine, let's try a different setting that no one's done before. I want Forgotten Realms.
I do have to say, like, as kind of like a soft side tangent here, the fact that Ravnica is canon to D&D means that there are certain things that are canon to D&D that I don't want to be canon to D&D now because of that. That means that Lord of the Rings is canon to D&D now. That also means that Doctor Who is canon to D&D now because there's Doctor Who magic sets. Like, I don't need that to be a thing.
It's fair, man.
I don't need that to be a thing.
Well, yeah, Theros. But I guess that was my whole point. Is this is a product and Ravnica has done well enough for Wizards for them to bring it back several times as a Magic setting. You know, several different blocks. There's a lot of product relation. There's a lot of product recognition. There's a lot of media, man. I mean, if you play Magic, you know how many of us enjoy reading the little bitty descriptive, the flavor text at the bottom of the cards, dude. And we're like, oh, that would be so cool as an adventure. Oh, man. I know a lot of people aren't crossover, but if you are crossover, how many of you just looking through your cards, man, I wish there was a D&D monster for this. Fuck it, I'm going to make it. They have access to that entire pool of stuff that we never see. Why? Because it's too much depth. It doesn't fit the Friday night or what is it? Adventure League D&D, Wednesday night D&D leagues. It doesn't fit the instant one. It doesn't fit the eventual, I just need to play a game, so let me use the VTT and the AI to DM.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that they could today release just a flat out Magic the Gathering tabletop? Like, do you think that they could go, this takes place in the Magic universe, this is a tabletop RPG for Magic the Gathering? Like outside of D&D, just like absolutely just like this is a new, like, everything. Like, do you think they could do that and be successful with it?
Depending on how cumbersome the system was.
That's fair. I guess it would depend on the system itself. Yeah.
Here's where I promise you they've been trying to do it and they can't because they can't figure out how to combine using the cards that you have to buy with the gameplay that you want to promote through that system. I think once they figure out that bridge where it's fully monetizable that way, then we'll see it.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking about
like your investment in your 30-something, and I'll do, guys. I got way too many Magic cards. I'm not trying to, I spent a lot of fucking money, a lot of time on that game. So I'm certainly not a critic of Magic. Don't get me wrong. I play Magic the Arena still on Steam every once in a while. Love the game.
I'm not good at it, but I play it.
Yeah. But so all of those properties, all of those things are absolutely doable. But therein lies the rub. If I'm sitting here trying to play Magic the Gathering, the board game, looking on my shelf, going, I want to play with my cards, the board game just failed.
Yeah.
So that's the bridge. I think, in my opinion,
like, I'm asking because like I was just thinking about like how many tabletops have actually been successful within like the last decade or so, and the only one that I can think of is Pathfinder. And I think Pathfinder only was successful because D&D 4E was out at the time that it came out, and people were like, I can just go play this, and that's basically 3E, you know. And so I'm very curious because like a lot of other, like the Star Wars one's not done very well. I don't hear anybody talking about the one for Avatar, and people were so excited for that when it came out.
Oh, dude,
I
I
looked
don't
through it.
know.
It's not very good. I'm gonna be honest with you.
All I know is everything from the minority is always amplified, and everything from the majority is always muted in today's internet society. If that makes sense to you.
No, I can understand what you're saying.
You know, everyone that is playing 5e doesn't care if you're angry about 5e and making your own system. But when you get out there and scream about how bad 5e is, I'm going to make my own system, it gains traction because, yeah, fuck this, stick it to the man. The negative always builds up. The majority of people, I think there's a lot more people that play 5e than anyone even wants to acknowledge. We have no idea of knowing.
That's true.
There's people still playing Beck Me. And then there's the people that say, no, dude, fam, I ain't doing Beck Me. I'm OSR. You're fucking Beck Me, bitch. Okay? Go look at the basic rule book. Look at OSR. You're playing Beck Me. And that's okay. God bless you for keeping the old systems, the old world going, man. Not trying to, there's nothing new anymore.
Yeah.
Planescape is 30 years old this year. 1993, 2020, 2023. They published it 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not new.
Yeah.
And honestly, the non-player characters in there, save one Fractal leader. If you've ever looked at the Fractal War or Fractal's Guides to Sigil, there's one Fractal leader that's different. Every other one is name for name, place for place, person for person, exactly identical. So when you're talking earlier, if they would have given me a reproduction of the old one, new one, would I be happy? Yeah, because they gave me an 8% reproduction of it. Give me 100% because you didn't even change names of the Fractals. You changed 2 faction names from the Dustmen to the Eaters of the Dust, okay, and from the Sign of the One to I don't even remember. That's it. You didn't change their beliefs.
Yeah.
There's nothing different in it. It's just tiny bits and pieces of what's already there. So that's what I say. It's like you gonna sell for chicken McNugget and McDonald's when you got steak at home.
Steak at home.
If you know you got steak at home, you ain't getting no chicken nuggets. If you don't know better, enjoy your nuggets, baby. It's cool.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is I think that there is enough of a percentage of people who are going to enjoy their nuggets because they don't know any better. And I really think that there is.
But they're going to be afraid to prepare the steak later, and that's where it'll die. They go, this tasted good. I'm going to go to the store. I got to butcher a cow to play. Oh, I ain't doing this because that's what it is. If we're being honest,
yeah.
5e's breaking it into little bite-sized, feel good, taste good, laugh fun chunks.
Yeah,
and you're just vaguely, barely aware of the monstrosities of the multiverse outside of the corner of your eyes.
Yeah.
But the moment your players look at that, you're fucked as a DM because Wizards didn't give the information to deal with that glance. That's the issue that I have with it.
I guess that's fair. Yeah. And again, like I said, I was reading through the thing. I definitely think that it's goofy for a reason. Because I think that's them trying to keep people engaged with it because it's a silly story. Let's see where this goes. What other funny thing is going to happen next?
And that's fair. That's actually a pretty valid and pretty good observation.
Yeah.
Because I was looking, this is dumb as shit, but it is dumb as shit. So let's lean into the dumbness. No different than what we're doing with Shadows of Barovia.
Yeah, right. And that was one of the first things I thought was that this is Shadows of Barovia but Sigil. That was one of the very first things that I thought was that
and you're right. Yeah. And initially I was like, shame. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I massacred a classic into the most amusing, hilarious campaign. I'm not going to be judgy on it. Yeah. I just wish they gave us more. That's my thing.
Yeah.
It's just enough to drive you away from the setting because you don't have enough to build it into something. Or it's just enough to scare you away from the setting because there's so much there. I think if they would have given us a larger block day one, the more of it that's out there wouldn't be as scary.
Yeah, like I said, I'm interested to see what the next big release is going to be from them because like depending on how well this does, if this sells well, we know they're gonna expand it. Absolutely, they're not going to let that money train die. Like
here's where we're fucked. We have the deck of many things releasing in a month at $100. It's going to come with all kinds of cool, fun toys and adventures and sets, and more importantly than anything, new items for your players. That's going to outsell any fucking thing because the players are going to buy that.
Yeah.
DMs ain't gonna buy that. Players are gonna buy that. Hey, I added this to the account. Can I have this cool item now? So that's what you're gonna see more of.
That's
Is
true.
more shit like if we're going on what sells, yeah. Hell no.
I'm not looking. Okay, look. As much as I think the deck of many things is a cool object, I don't like it. I don't think that it like it's fun, and in certain settings it would do well. With certain groups, it would do well, but just dropping it into any old campaign, I do not think works, like at all. Like, yeah,
No, I agree. I
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
agree. I
Like,
mean,
yeah.
if you don't have a mature mature is a bad word. Well, no, mature. Being able to work together collaboratively while having a good time. And I'm not talking age, the group's behavior towards each other.
Yeah.
A deck of many things could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, at certain points in your campaign where there's that little bit of a lull, and no matter what happens, we're still going to go to cross this valley. It might be a fun time to play with a deck of many things.
Yeah.
But that's one of the flip sides of it. There could be some campaign driving or campaign changing mechanics that come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you as a dungeon master or your players as players, skill wise or knowledge wise, aren't able to adapt to that, yeah, that could be bad news for a campaign.
Yeah.
Or you look at it, if you're a creative guy, you look at it as an opportunity to go complete. That's fine. This sucks anyway. I didn't want to play this. The players wanted to play this. Fuck yeah! And you get to go somewhere else.
Yeah. But I really think with them introducing that as it's going to pop up in so many campaigns now.
Yeah.
Like that just has no business being in.
Dude, we've had a deck of many
I
things in
know.
the Sword Coast campaign for
Oh.
4 months, and no one's ever cracked it.
Oh no, absolutely. Because I immediately gave it to the one person I knew who was not going to pull anything, which is Lita. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, she's the most responsible person. You take this because everybody else is going to get us in trouble with it. Like,
Oh, Akko would have gone fucking nuts with that shit. You know, as
yeah,
you know, kind of good guy he was. Oh, this could be fun. You know, I gotta see. He's a bard. You gotta see what happened next, man. This could be such a good story. Stop it. Can't hear you, Papa. Can you hear me? Oh yeah, I would have rose hell with that. Chucho, not so much.
Yeah.
But you know, so that's a campaign where, as players, we're mature enough to know that if something goes wrong here, this could completely sink the campaign. The campaign is kind of teetering at a lot of times anyway. You know, drawing wrong on the deck of many things sinks it or swims it or who knows. So, what are you smiling about?
Nothing.
Is it time to play with the deck this weekend?
It might be. I could see that being an interesting thing to happen.
I'm a leader. Can I have the cards?
I want cards.
Let's play fancy cards. Fancy cards and bags. Oh shit!
100%.
Horrifying.
We're gonna
But anyway,
our vampire thing first. But yeah. Anyway,
yeah, we I was about to say we can't do the cards unless you just really want to fuck shit up and throw all the cards up in the 52 card pickup at the vampire fight and force a complete reroll for everything. I'm not DMing this, so that's why I'm encouraging horrifying ideas.
Yeah. But no,
no, man. I think I do a really good job of behaving myself as a DM,
absolutely.
As a player, dude. I don't think I backseat too often.
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
yeah, because there's several times. Yeah, we won't get into all that. But
it's gotta, you know, I know it could potentially suck having a DM for your DM, so I try not to be that guy.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, 5e. The monsters were fun though.
Yeah, so that's one thing I need to look more into. Are the
Did you look at the Demodans yet?
That was one of the things I know like everybody was super into. But no,
they used to be called back in old dudes, us old dudes. These are the Garoleths.
Yes.
Demodans, same brothers.
Yeah.
And there was actually a period where they were called Demodans in before Planescape launched and the whole Satanic Panic thing. So this is going back to the roots of the earth. Why do we still got Yugoloths called Yugoloths instead of being daemons? If we're going with everything else, I don't know, but whatever. Yeah, the Ultra Daemon sounds so much better than an Ultra Loth, dude. What is it? It's an Ultra Daemon. Oh shit! You know, Ultra Loth. He works for Loth. No.
but then you also have like Barastu Dimmadin, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, okay, they look badass. I will say that. They look cool.
Well,
as
did I
hell.
not? Did I not describe the Kellu bar extremely well last week when you ran into it? So remember how big old and buff and badass that black slotty was?
Yes.
Imagine like he stopped working out and went on a diet. And I was like, oh, they hit that picture perfect.
No, it's 100%. Yeah. Big old titties. um,
Exactly.
And again, yes, the art within this book is
art.
phenomenal. Like it's
Good
so
art.
good. It's such good art.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like.
No, the Eater of Knowledge is a hell of a cool picture. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, the Eater of Knowledge. Oh man,
production-wise, quality of production, no legitimate complaints.
what was it? There was something I was reading. One of the things that they were talking about was when people from this plane of existence die, they burst into fucking tadpoles. The fucking
Illithid stuff.
yes, illithid tadpoles.
All down in Il Sensine's realm.
Yeah, fucking yeah. But apparently that's one of the things that like just one of the realms. Like if people from that place die, they just become those, and I'm not okay with that.
Well, here's what's really messed up if we're going down that trail. While we'll pretend we'll play spoilers and specifics and did you knows, Il Sensine, the god, if you will, of the mind flayers, who has a place out on the Outlands, is a gigantic fucking overbrain thing.
Oh yeah.
So her lair is like what you would see in Baldur's Gate 3, just organic, tissuey, fibrous, fucking pulsating nerves and veins everywhere. But this tunnel connects with Jezemnid's realm, Mr. Big Super God of the Beholders. And both in 2nd edition and in 5th edition, these two deities are like allied. Why do we not have fucking shit happening here?
That's horrifying. That's
Why
awful.
is there no super awesome universe-threatening campaign erupting from this unholy alliance between the god of beholders and the goddess of mind flayers?
That's
holy
horrifying.
snap, dude!
Like a mind flayer beholder or a beholder mind flayer, either or, horrifying.
What's worse is the two of them separate working together as a team.
That's true too.
Because here's the thing: mind flayers are psionic. Anti-magic cone does not affect psionic.
That's true.
Mind flayers be blasting your ass with their magic, wah, and Big Eyes going, and you can't do shit.
That's fucked. Yeah, that's wild. That's probably why they don't do it, because you
you just blew up the whole universe.
Yeah. Oh man, then why would they have that lore then? They shouldn't make they should hate each other to keep that from happening.
Well, maybe that's why maybe that's an agreement between the two races or the two minds, the god and the goddesses. Says, okay, if we let our people out there in the real world get together, they're going to obliterate everything, and then all the gods are going to come stomp on us down here. So let's just at least keep that separate till we're ready for the final plan. It could be that.
That's fair too.
So, but that still doesn't prevent that from being an absolutely awesome adventure hook and campaign trail, dude. Holy crap.
Horrifying.
Next idea, new idea.
New idea unlocked. Oh man, that's awful. That's horrible. I would never want to deal with that.
And things like that are why it's like, no, man, go dig into the 2nd edition stuff, because it's like the did you knows, and just the slightest bit of creative notion, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my, I could, oh my god, I could, oh my god, and all you're doing is you're getting like a sniff of it with the 5th edition.
Yeah.
Like you're getting a sniff of the flavors that are available that are cooking on the other side of all those portals, you know. Then you got to go pick up another book to actually get a taste and even a meal beyond that, you know. The 5th edition is a good teaser. Think of it as a tapas, maybe, you know. But if you want a big ass plate of that shit, you're gonna have to go in the back and hey brother, I know it's a tapas place, but I really like that chorizo and tato, and I need a fucking big bowl of it, right? So you gotta go get the box set.
Oh, I can't believe we haven't talked about time dragons yet. That's a new big thing.
That's just baby, hell yeah.
Time dragons are wild. The ancient time dragon, a 90-foot cone for its breath weapon, where it will age you. Like that's fucked. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It is magical aging. You become just enfeeble immediately. Like,
Well,
that's
what's worse is
horrifying.
this is the guy that Crenepsis, I believe you're referring to, right?
Yeah, you're ancient. Yeah, I don't think they name him in this, but they just say ancient time dragon.
He's got a name. Second edition people know it. Fifth edition people go look at second edition. He's named Crenepsis. He's the timekeeper of all dragons across all multiverses.
Yeah,
He's
they even have a
considered,
picture of him in the book.
if you will, the balancing point between Tiamat and Bahamut. He's the one that determines who and how many and how much of any particular dragon kind is in existence in the material plane. By the alteration, manipulation, and otherwise of the magical hourglasses. Whenever a dragon appears whenever a dragon hatches from its egg, an hourglass appears, and that hourglass, Crenepsis knows at that point in time how long that dragon's going to live. He's supposed to be neutral in the essence that he is there to maintain what Tiamat and Bahamut put forth in regards to their brood, but supposed to, shoulda versus woulda versus can are always a couple different things.
Is he supposed to be the only time dragon?
No, there's other time dragons.
Because I was going to say within this, they have Wyrums, they have adult, and they have ancient. So I was just making sure because I was like, that might be a change that they made in this.
Okay. Well, no, I mean we've got they're sticking with it. We got shadow dragons, time dragons, radiant dragons, gem dragons, dirt dragons, water dragons. So it's staying in line. But Crenepsis is the
yeah. Okay, I was
the bronze dragonflight from back in the day. Yeah. Think Chromie if you're a World of Warcraft fan.
Like we have silver dragons, but then there's also Bahamut. Like I get what you're saying, but yeah, I was just wanting to make sure that that wasn't one of the things they changed. I wasn't sure or not.
No, there's always been
yeah.
Because there's always been.
They're like, they start off with nubs for horns, and then as their understanding of time grows, so do their horns, and they start to branch off like timelines branch,
like antlers and shit. Yeah,
and they're like, beyond just their breath weapon and aging you, one of the things they have was within a 30-foot radius around them, which is a huge fucking area. They can drop a fucking time portal underneath a person, and they can send you forward into time. Mechanically, all that does is it skips your turn and jumps you forward. But yeah, that's still wild to think of, like, just within the context of...
I've been falling for 30 rounds.
Just gonna leave that there. They can also just send you to other time periods in other realms, and it says that there is a front and back to all of these portals, but that you can only enter through the front of it. So they can just go boop, and now you're back in Faerun, and back in like caveman days, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like they just bye, like horrifying. I love that that's their new thing, is that like every big release they're like, we're gonna give you guys one horrifying new type of dragon. Because it was like the Illithid dragon before this, which is scary as fuck. The brine breath on that alone just makes that one of the most horrifying dragons to me. And then before that was that giant fucking boy from the ice one that's like twice the size of a standard like dragon, who's just huge as all fuck.
And then you had Imrith, the overpowered blue dragon in Storm King's Thunder.
Yes. I think that's just their thing now. It's just like, let's just drop a new horrifying dragon every new release.
I'm okay with that, because at least we're starting to get away from the make sure that everyone got in the amusement park today, make sure they kill their dragon at level 5 so they can feel like they played D&D. I'm 100% okay with them putting actual, real, fucking threatening bestial dragons back in the apex predators of the multiverse, man.
Yeah.
Like in second edition Planescape, they talk about as powerful as the beings on the plane of air are. They actively hunt down dragons, because if there's enough dragons on the plane of air, it will absolutely destroy the ecology. Now let's think about that. This is a plane of infinite air, which means there's enough infinite space. But dragons are such a strong presence that they can actually take over the plane of air if the rest of the beings, the Djinns and all the adventurers and the Pegasi and the Keyrins, all this, don't show up and kick a dragon's ass when they get there and start laying eggs. it's nice to see them finally returning to that level of our pantheon in D&D, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's the egg thing made me think about this as well. Is for the time dragons. One of their things is if they die, they don't die. They just pop up somewhere else in the timeline in a different plane, not on the same one as an egg, and in 100 years they'll hatch, and they have all of the memories that they had in their previous life. Like,
you better hope you're not an elf. He's still alive when that bitch hatches.
Because they coming for you. Oh, how dare you!
As you're hitting the last
horns.
Human, halfling, half elf. I'll remember you. Dwarf, I'm gonna remember you. Elf. Oh, I'm gonna fucking remember you.
Wait, what's your family name? I might, just in case. I loved the flavor though for that thing was we're talking about like never mess with a dragon, especially one that already remembers eating you. Like, which I'm a big fan.
We have to do this. You taste so bad. You'll be like, what? Dude, I had the runs for 3 days after the last time I fought you, man. I don't know what you eat, but you need to change your fucking diet, man. Your barbarian just be like,
oh shit.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think that's great. Yeah. I don't know. I do have to say that like just the little bit of silly stuff in there that I'm really enjoying, the silly dumb shit where it's like when you go into one of the places in the mortuary and it's like the drawers where all the dead bodies are, the number one drawer has a guy that's in it that it's his first day of work and he fell asleep on the job and they thought that he was dead, so they put him in there and he's stuck and he can't get out.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's my first day, so I don't know how to get out of here. Sorry, I can't help you. Like, one of the messed up things is the poltergeists that are in it, because it says that if you die to them and your party like jumps back in like from where they were previously and comes back through, they're going to be using your body as the puppets now instead of the puppets they were using. I'm like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
The
it looks interesting. It looks my biggest so far, like I said, I haven't read it from beginning to, I always read in sequence and then I read beginning and then I read end and then I go back through and read old man reading style, man, SQ3R method, but it doesn't matter. So like I said, I'm not going to really go too far on it, but it's going to be a challenge to manage. There's a lot of different shit, just the geography, just the descriptions of all of your different areas. Either you're gonna rely on a lot of maps if you're doing VTT. You're gonna have to either practice or expand your skills if you're doing theater of the mind, or you're just gonna kind of have to hand wave it, and it's just a lot of weird travel that looks the same. So that says something. I definitely, as far as preparation wise, you're going through a huge, wide variety of environments and town sizes, and the literal layout and makeup of the town. So if you do end up running this module, remember that each of these gate towns, that is the picture of the plane that it attaches to. We're still focused on Outlands being what it is. Every one of those outer planes is as important, if not more important, than where your players are standing right now. So remember, when you're when you decide to run that, understand the gate towns. Make sure that you really have a good a mind's eye view in your head so you can present it to your players. Otherwise, it's just another town around a portal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's one of the things they did well, because like you said with the sigil stuff, they do go into the gate towns pretty well. Not as much as they probably could, but I think they do a decent job.
Enough. It's enough. It's enough to give you the tools. That's why I went through that rant.
Yeah.
You've got the stuff there to make them count. You got to make sure to focus on using the information there to make them each distinct.
I can't wait to get back to Sigil because I want to go to the fucking Modron Cafe just because I want to see Modrons make me a really complicated like coffee order. Like,
they're not in Sigil.
Oh, okay.
Number one, that's not canonical, but number two, it's an automata, the gate town to automata.
Yeah, sorry. That's what I'm. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, but we're not going to get back to any of that until we get back to sigils. Right, is why I'm saying that for. But
Yeah,
yes,
that's fair.
I would.
That's
But yeah,
fair.
I want to see that just because I want to be like, oh, I want a caramel half calf macchiato made with oat milk. Like I want to give them like a really Starbucks order just to see a Modron make coffee. Like, just so it could be like, oh fuck, like I only know how to put caramel on it. How do I go any further than that? Like,
Your coffee will sit there for about 6 hours while a different Modron comes in to do their one function, and by the time it gets to you, it's cold
it's
and
cold.
murky and syrupy. But
Yep.
I'll do it. I'll let you do it. And then the tri-drone that's sitting there making sure that you take your order because no one leaves an order in our cafe.
Yep.
That would be disorderly. That would be messy. That would be unorganized. You will remain until your order is created. Current brewing time is at 5 hours and 27 minutes and 11 seconds and counting.
Yeah.
Oh, apologies. We have to find someone that understands pouring of oat milk rather than. I would fuck you over so hard on that one.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I want, though. I just want just like this really dumb, complicated thing to happen.
That's
Yeah.
part of the fun stuff, you know.
Absolutely. It's just for the party to just be exasperated by the end of it. Dude, we could have just gone next door and got a normal cup of coffee. Like,
And then you go to the cafe in God, what's the one? Is it Bedlam, the gate town to Limbo? I'd like just a handful of beans and hot water thrown at you. They throw the cup at your face, then they hit you with the cup.
Make it yourself. Man.
Oh man! See, now we're on a campaign idea.
Yeah.
A 16-stop tour of the coffee shops of the gate towns of the Outlands.
Man, don't do that to me. I will make that character. I will make the fucking coffee slug like fucking like ugh, this place. They don't even use like Arabica beans, man. Like, I know a place that does better Colombian coffee. Let's not go here. Like,
Right.
I know this place that does a cold pour. Let's go to that place.
As
Oh my
the
God.
Ifrit stares at you. Plane of fire mean anything to you?
It's gonna be fun. Man, it's gonna be great. As hard as
But yeah, here's the fun thing. These are all seeds for really fun campaign ideas that are coming from scraps of information that they've tossed us.
right.
You know, so you have enough to start day one. You know, I'm not going to refute that, even if I'm not like the biggest fan of the 5e release. There's enough to play. There's enough to have fun. There's enough to explore.
Right.
If you have no idea of it, there's enough for you to enjoy. If you have an idea of it, you know better, so it doesn't matter. You get the convenience of some digital stat blocks if you use D&D Beyond. Outside of that, don't waste your money. If you're buying the box set, you get some cool art. Outside of that, if you don't need it for those two things, don't waste fucking penny on it, man. You've already got everything if you've got the old 2e stuff.
And for players, the only thing you get out of it, I think there's like 3 backgrounds, like 2 feats, like 4 magical items, something like that. Like it's not a whole lot for players to mess around with either, and all of it is specific to Sigil anyway. So like you can't take any of those backgrounds outside of Sigil.
Well, Planescape themed campaign.
That's true. Fair.
Yeah,
I
did like that. Yeah, you're right. It says prerequisite now instead of why can't I use this there? Well, because we're not playing a Planescape campaign. You can't play Scion of the Plains, dude.
Yeah. I do think that it's very weird that they've very much strayed away from alignment, but yet some of these things are dependent on alignment, where it's like, oh, if you're of the chaos alignment, then you can take this thing. Or if you're of the lawful alignment, you can take this thing. Or if you're a neutral alignment, you can take this thing. And they each do different stuff, but they're like, but alignment doesn't matter.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe this is their small attempt to try to make it matter by monetizing alignment. No different than when we first had to learn how to do honor back in the Oriental Adventure days.
Yeah.
No one gave a fuck about honor until there was a point system or a report, something that I could see on my sheet that made it worth happening. So maybe now all of a sudden, oh, I'll definitely be lawful because I want that plus 1d6 radiant that I can heal myself with. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You got to play lawful. Oh, that's okay. It's worth it mechanically. But so before long, it's going to be a meta build. You must be a lawful ABC according to Reddit to get all of this super duper combo. So If anything, I promise you, the Super Builder is going to codify alignment as part of the build of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
So smart move, Wizards.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like they 100% are like, it doesn't matter. But also here, also none of our factions are locked to alignment anymore. But they definitely still are. But
They were never locked to good and evil. They are always locked to law and chaos.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. None of it is based off of good or evil within their like feat things, their background things. It's all law, chaos, neutral. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, we talked about that. So it's just adhering to what we, and that was part of the whole satanic panic thing that brought a lot of the stuff into Planescape into being. There's a shift away from good and evil, which was real life good and evil, and a major focus on law and chaos, which is, I guess, a little easier to get into discussions about without turning into a religious debate.
Yeah.
So that's still holding true now. I mean, even then, it's like they put the bestest on the map for the Outlands, the old Egyptian library of knowledge, but there ain't a single mention of any Egyptian deities in there.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true. And it is very interesting to like see these things where it's like, oh, that's 100% like a Norse thing, like Yidril, stuff like that, like or Yizgard. I can't think of what it is. It's Yiz something that they have in there. Is it okay? Yeah.
The gate to the Yggdrasil.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, but Norse gods aren't in this. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Says the samurai.
Yeah. Or like yeah, right. Or what was it? There was another one. Or Zeus is in here. Yeah, right. And it's just they're not going to talk to you any about nothing.
Yeah.
Sylvania, but I mean that's I guess more Druid face.
So many things to so many different people.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the great thing. That's going to what I'm looking forward to seeing is all of the wonder as people start getting. Oh, look, Wizards stole from World of Warcraft with this. Oh, look, Wizards stole from ABC with that. Oh, look, look at all Planescape all stealing from them. And I'm like, learn how to read a calendar and look when it was first published in 1993. And then before that, look where it was published in the actual literature books. So everyone kind of stole. So it's okay, brothers. Okay,
100%.
sisters. Don't sweat it, man.
Yeah.
And, don't let yourself get bogged down in that argument. It's okay.
And the thing that I can't understand is like, okay, I get that like you don't want to represent any specific like actual religious gods within your world. Why can't you just do what you did with demons and angels and just change their names? Like I don't understand that.
They changed Beelzebub's name.
Is Beelzebub a character in D&D?
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's Latin for Lord of Flies. So I mean, like
Belial.
Yeah. I need to look at this. I didn't know that he was in.
Yeah, there's a lot. Baphomet is a biblical name.
Well, I'm just saying, I didn't know that there was a Beelzebub in fucking 5e even. Like,
yeah. There was a brief time where they called him Balphazon, but since then he's gone back to being Beelzebub. The slug lord that Asmodeus struck down for.
Slug. That's so dumb.
Huh?
Why would they make him a slug?
Because he used to be one of the most beautiful, talented, and eloquent demon archdevils in the Nine Hells, and he was one of the main leaders of the first rebellion against Asmodeus, who then betrayed the rest of the devils at a prime point. And so Asmodeus says, "Okay, I won't kill you because you betrayed everyone, but because you betrayed everyone, you will be now known as Lord of the Lies, Lord of the Flies, and transformed into this ugly, horrifying thing. And furthermore, every one of your packs moving forward will be cursed in misfortune."
Yeah. But yeah,
that's 5e. That's 5e.
Well, I mean, I just don't understand the slug thing. Would he's Lord of the Flies? Why not make him a fly? Like, make him a giant fly.
Giant maggot. Slug, maggot, call it what you want.
Okay, I can get down with that. Okay. Yeah. I can get down with him being a maggot. Okay. Because I was like, that's so weird. Like you literally named him this. Why didn't you make him that thing?
Gigantic maggot. But yeah, so I mean, there's still So
I mean, I guess
Hasbro's avoided. Yeah, they haven't exactly sidestepped biblical names and stuff as they've gone with it. So it's like they don't, we're okay with borrowing from Christianity, but we're not going to touch Norse mythology or Hindi mythology or Chinese, the celestial bureaucracy, which is a grandstanding mythology, man.
Yeah.
But we're ignoring that, even though there's lots of mentions of the places in Planescape 5e. So what I say to you is, you and your friends and your people better than anyone. If you guys want to include the Norse pantheon, by God, include the Norse pantheon. If you want to throw Set down on the 4th layer of hell where he turned half of the Stygia into a desert because he's a fucking god and wanted to, do it. No one's going to stop you from doing it. Just do your homework. Just do your homework. Represent it well and do it, man. There's nothing that explicitly says they aren't there in the Planescape book.
That's fair. It does. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't. It doesn't say. Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I don't understand why they couldn't just say fuck it and change their name and just use them anyway. Like if people are to avoid getting pissy. But another thing that I don't understand is that there are other people who do similar things, right? So like for instance, I've been playing Assassin's Creed again, but within that they use Juno, Minerva, like they use these gods and stuff like that from other pantheons within it. Like Adam and Eve are in these games, but they're not Adam and Eve, like they use all of these names, but they've changed what they are, and nobody bitches about it, and it's weird to me. Like it's really odd.
Video games get a big pass in regards, in comparison to literature, and like it or not, D&D is considered literature.
I guess that's fair.
Because a lot of the stuff in a video game, it's inferred, it's Easter eggish. There's nothing that says in black and white, this is this. It's like, oh, it's this. All of these things are like inside jokes between the devs and the players.
Yeah.
And we're allowed to make our own conclusions and go, I know what they're trying to say. So it's permissible because very rarely is it absolutely blatant in saying we are Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden.
Yeah. I would say that for Assassin's Creed it is blatant like that, but like they changed the thing because it's like this is Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. They did steal the apple of knowledge. But within their universe, they are the Isu created the humans, and Adam and Eve were the first humans to break away from the Isu, and the apple of knowledge was the thing that was controlling the rest of humanity, and that was what they stole from them. So like they still did the lore of them, but it's just like it got twisted throughout time, and it became this thing, is what they're saying.
And I guarantee you, there's some right-wing Christian-based group that has
absolutely, I'm sure there is,
boycotted that game.
100%, yeah.
So to say it's different anymore, it's still the same thing. There's people going to get bent out of shape.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the dudes that are making Assassin's Creed are making a game series called Assassin's Creed.
That's fair.
The people that own Dungeons and Dragons is a toy company called Hasbro.
Is it them or Mattel that puts out the Ouija board?
I think it's Mattel, dude,
okay.
or Milton Bradley.
I think it's Milton Bradley. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's Milton Bradley.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that video games get a pass on. And here's the other thing: D&D could do that, but they would probably have to put a mature rating or an ESRB or some sort of thing on these books, and that's going to really cut out a huge portion.
Yeah.
Fifth edition is so.
I think with our last chat where I was like I think that they should do a adult line of D&D where they can get away from it and go, okay, this is for everybody else. But yeah,
I think we should.
But again, we can make
grow us back as dungeon masters and do it ourselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you could always do it yourself. It doesn't matter. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess it's passion and love for the game and for the product that says I'm okay to an extent with them. Because I'm also a dad. And honestly, 5th edition, I got back into it because my kid lost his group. At the start of COVID, when he was really getting back into D&D. So I was like, fuck, I'll pick up the torch and go for you, brother. Yeah. It's kid-friendly enough to where a lot of families are investing in the game. A lot of dads like me are able to teach our kids about it because it's easy
to learn.
It's easy to learn. And number 2, it's not a lot of really racy content.
No, not at all.
I don't necessarily have to worry about, reviewing the book to see how many tits am I going to see in this monster manual before my kid gets to see it. Personally, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, tits be natural, dude. If we're okay with our kids playing fucking Counter-Strike Go, why are we upset because our kids see some knockers on a succubus? Okay, That's a different argument for a different day.
Say, yeah, we could get
But-
to that, but not on stream.
Yeah. But 5e does a good job of making sure everything stays roughly PG, maybe PG-13.
Yeah, at best, yeah, PG-13.
So I think if they start going heavy into mythologies and the according stuff that goes along with that, some of that might
That's
go into
true.
our territory.
That's true. That's true.
So maybe it's genuinely, and maybe it's not about malice. Maybe it's not about anything other than if we start putting Quetzalcoatl and the rituals that went through to try to summon
or
him to
even
the
the
earth into our books.
Druids.
The
Same.
real stuff about, hey, Holy, good to see you. Thanks for joining us, Holly Epa. We're just grumbling and mumbling about 5e. But yeah, so I understand from the business point of view. I understand from a parent point of view, and I don't mind it. Greek mythology is fucked up. Yeah, right there.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Zeus is
Oh,
the god of
goodness.
date rapes, guys. It's
Yeah.
excuse me for saying that on stream, but he's
100%.
not.
Yeah.
So
Man's gonna turn into a goose and have sex with a lady. Like,
so Hasbro avoiding a lot of that is as a parent, as a consumer, is pretty wise to make sure it stays where it's at. But they don't stop us from doing that in our games.
yeah.
There's nothing that ever explicitly says, note to DM, there are no gods and no pantheons, and you will not be playing D&D if you make a reference to any real world mythology. That's never in the book.
Nah, not at all.
So that's our purview is at home to do.
That's fair.
Zeus, the god of bestiality. Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, like, fucking the Minotaur story is that's fucked up. That's a whole thing.
And this is the funny thing. That's college level classic mythology.
Yeah.
You're paying $20,000 to go study that shit for 2 years, but it's so bad that we can't let our kids see it, and Mattel won't touch, or Hasbro won't touch it for their games, rightfully so.
Look, I was so upset. This is like a side tangent. I went to an IB high school, so they actually taught mythology in my high school. Like, that was a class that you could get. I was never able to get into it. Like, no matter how hard I tried. I tried for 4 years of high school to get into that class.
Dude, I graduated English with honors in Texas, and that meant that we actually studied mythology.
Yeah, and that was their thing. It wasn't just like Greek mythology for theirs. It was everything. It was you'll learn Greek, Greek and Roman, same thing basically. Like Egyptian, like Asian
Beowulf,
mythologies,
man,
like stuff like that.
the Trials of Gilgamesh, and in Kilu.
Yeah.
And all of those good things. I remember all of that stuff. That's called literature. Yeah. And it's held in a really high regard in most societies.
Yeah.
But it's taboo to include into a game by the company because it starts getting into adult territory.
Yeah.
But there's nothing stopping us from bringing these absolutely marvelous epics back to life through D&D. And Planescape is giving us an avenue to have Enkidu and Gilgamesh stomp through the fucking world if you want.
Yeah.
Because the Sumerian panthology, the Babylonian panthology are actually attached. If you go look at the 2e book, you can even see where Gilgamesh's house is. But I'm not going to say that out loud.
Okay. Suggestion for you, Jim. I know you're
Sure.
not a big anime guy, but there's a series that's called Vinland Saga. I think you'd be super into it. It's not 100%.
Greek, Aztec, Egyptian, Persian, Christian, yeah, all of those, a lot of stuff. Sorry,
it's not 100% historically accurate, but it is very historically accurate. Like, it's more historically accurate than most things would be.
Yeah,
like you see Thor killing it. They have what the fuck is that king's name? I can't think of his name. Well, it's the whole thing where Vikings are first coming into England and like trying to attack it, and it's like that storyline right there.
Yeah,
but it's pretty good. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, now that we're getting into Planescape, now that it's official, that is a natural next question. What about gods? If your players are going to be standing there and looking at a portal that leads to Mount Celeste.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to handle that as a DM? Are you going to ignore it and say, "Nah, we don't worry about that, fam. That's not part of D&D anymore. That's just an empty space of lawful good nothing." Well, what about Bahamut? Well, yeah, Bahamut lives there. Well, what about this? Well, fucking slippery slope. Welcome to it, dude.
that one's actually interesting because like they have actually, and I know it's been like this already, but they've already gone. You can't just go to it. You have to go through a portal. It doesn't matter that you can see that mountain. You can't fly to the top of it. It is impossible for you to.
Portal to portal to level to level. Yep.
100%. So they've already made it like difficult to get there in the first place.
Well, now this is me being objective in regards to actual experience. The group I'm one of my other Planescape groups, we're actually doing the Deva Spark.
Yeah.
And they've made some pretty good progress on here. Now, you want to talk about how boring Dungeons and Dragons can be when you have a goodish group traveling through a goodish plane? You can't start a fight for nothing, man.
Hey, man, you stepped on my shoes.
Oh,
I guess
I'm
that's
so
okay.
sorry about that. Here, let me tie your shoe. Oh, man, here, let me help you up. Thank you. Have a nice day. You too. Damn, that was a close one. We almost
We almost had
frowned.
words.
So those are the kind of things. But yeah, I mean, all joking aside, it's been a challenge to keep engaging and entertaining from a D&D point of view. While my group has been working through Elysium on the behalf of a wounded Deva, who everyone in the zone is trying, everyone in the plane, actually I should say the region of Presidio, is trying to help this guy out. They're trying to help the players. Everyone's super friendly. It's fucking hard work as a DM to make that seem like a challenge, to make that seem like an adventure. So man, those are the things that I'm trying to talk about. If you don't have information, you're left. Okay, we're gonna go to the land of lawful good and do what? Smile and wave.
We can,
you know, unless you're evil, and then the moment you walked in that plane, every solar and avatar, boom, lightning bolt, boom. Your boys pick up your ashes at the portal and go the other way.
We can never let Phil find out about ecstasy. Like, we can never let him find out about that place.
Right? No shit, dude. But yeah, so there's each of these gate towns is well presented in the 5th edition book. Not taking that away.
Yeah.
Well represented. I wish they would have given us a little bit more about the regions on the Beastlands than what we got.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm talking strictly on the basis of I know what I know about 5th edition, but all I have access to, I know what I know about 2E, but all I have access to is the 5E books. Okay, so let me give you that approach.
Yeah.
If you were back in the day, you had all the stuff, but you don't have access to the box set anymore. There's enough here to jog your memory on a lot of stuff. There's not enough different to really get upset about, unless you're like an absolute 100% purist. Like I said, by my count, I'm sitting at maybe 96% in regards to who's where, what's named what, where's where. Did a good job. They did a good job of recreating the old stuff in where it's supposed to be, representing what it's supposed to do. Holy Up is kicking an idea in here real quick. I'm sorry. I find the mythology-based one in the Old Testament interesting. There's one creator God and his servants, the angels. There are 4 angels governing the elements, one that rules the souls in death, and hundreds that rule nations as patrons. Yeah, we have the freedom to make whatever kind of mythology and pantheology we want for our games. To make sure it's okay with your groups.
Yeah, and actually, the homebrew universe that I was running at one point in time, that they had outlawed religion other than one religion in their world, and it was basically what you're talking about. It was the Judeo-Christian religion. Basically, was their king found that religion and was like, this is it. This is what we have. All of the other religions are banned now. And so, like, their church had been destroyed, but going across the sea to their sister city, you could see what used to be there because it's an exact duplicate city.
And for me, on my homebrew world, I went the entire opposite because as a Planescape person, I understand the whole concept of a multiverse.
Yeah.
And my world didn't like gods. Knew every single one of them, but as you grew up as a player in that world, you were F the gods because they blew the world to shit.
Yeah.
Gods that didn't have anything to do with our world showed up because a couple arrogant assholes. It was a gang fight of every god in the multiverse testing their shit on our planet and fuck them all. So I mean, I acknowledged a huge pantheon, but I detached the world from the pantheon.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like was trying to play around with it, with that kind of stuff a little bit. And in my world, the rest of the pantheon did still exist. Like, it wasn't just like that was the thing. It was just that this guy had just been like how it kind of happened in the real world, where it was just like kings started following this one religion and were like, everything else is no more.
Oh, kind of like the Zadara story from Sigil. The Titan lady.
Okay,
remember
yes, exactly that. Exactly that. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking Zadar, Rudy's character, and I was confused for a second. I was like, wait, what?
Zadar, the hottest fuck over Titan, who basically has the wealth of entire worlds scrolled away, worlds like planets, squirreled away in her castle because she went world to world pretending to be a god when she would find out there were no active deities there. And as a Titan, she had the power to actually do deific magic. And this was this gigantic, stunning, hyper powerful figure walking amongst people is like, here, take my money, take my money. And eventually the gods, after she got to like her third or fourth world, and the gods are like, I don't feel so good. Why they worship? Oh, hell no. So yeah, now she's hiding in Sigil because the gods of the worlds that she impersonated and robbed are waiting for her to pop your head. Ooh. She's like, Lady of Pain, protect me. You can't come in, but fuck, I can't go out.
Yep.
Well, maybe I'll outlive them. She's like, oh fuck, wait a minute, that ain't gonna happen either. So the woman, an individual with near the power of a god, with the wealth of worlds, who is trapped in Sigil. So when you hear it called the Cage, she's like a perfect embodiment of why it's the Cage, man.
Yeah.
She has wealth beyond wealth, man, but she can't do a fucking thing with it.
I was actually going to wonder because of the fact that Ravnica is canon to D&D now, is it actually possible for deities to? Well, no, I guess it would have to be because the god of death gave up his thing within D&D. Because I was going to say, is it possible for gods to stop being gods? But I guess he just keeps track of the dead, like the names and stuff like that. He retired. He didn't stop being a god.
The first thing that and while I'm all about a multiversal thing, that's where the gods start messing up. Because you're like, well, no, the god of magic, Mystra of all. No, she's the god of magic on Faerun, on Toril. She is one of dozens of. No. Well, what about Io? He's the god of all the gods of Toril. Say it with me, of Toril. So then you get in these horrifying debates of which god is truly the god. So that's the downside of it, because someone's always going to say, well, yeah, that god was this, but this god over here is that. No. So, that's why I like Planescape. You're either a greater power, a moderate power, or a lesser power. And all three of these are big enough to squish worlds with the blink of an eye, so it doesn't matter. A deity is a deity is a deity in the eyes of Planescape. Yeah. So, yeah, Hot Girl from DC had one of the best quotes I've ever listened to. Superman. You could read that. Hot Girl is the closest thing we have to a player in your language. It would be something like, fuck you, you divine dick. Okay, cool. Sorry. I just looked over there and saw that. Yeah.
Hot Girl?
Superman, could you... okay, Hot Girl is the closest thing we have to a prayer in your language. It would be something like, fuck you, you divine dick. Oh, for her language. I get it now.
I get you.
Yeah, her prayer would be like that. I follow you. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm acknowledging you and I'm pissed at you.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. Fuck you, you divine prick.
So this is a really dumb thing, but it's been bothering me, right? Okay, so because they were talking about Superman, and the god of the Kryptonians is a god named Rao, right? And now there's a Rao pasta sauce, and it has been bothering the fuck out of me every time I see it.
R-A-O Rao?
Yeah, R-A-O Rao, yeah.
He is also the Crook of Rao.
Yes.
The god of light in Greyhawk.
Yep.
You think Gygax was a Superman fan?
It's possible, because like one of Superman's things is he'll go like, "Great Rao," like it's like one of his like exclamations that he'll say sometimes. So it's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
I have yet for anyone to beat me on that argument when we were talking about power curves, about non-player characters. When I threw the curse on the Crook of Rao from Igwilf. It's like, I rest my case. How badass are you when you can put that kind of curse on that level of an item, dude?
That's true. But
I win. Goodbye.
I guess the thing that back to the previous thing. The thing that I was actually asking though was because like within Ravnica, like Nicobolus was a god that wanted to be a planeswalker, and he managed to actually remove himself from godhood so he could become a planeswalker. So I was wondering if that's a thing within D&D. Could gods be like, I don't want to be a god anymore and stop being a god? I mean, he had to go through a bunch of shit to stop being a god, but like...
Well, I mean, the whole spell plague aspect was the gods being deposed into mortality, and then mortals amongst them, or if the god proved themselves worthy as a mortal, were able to reascend. And in other cases, the whole fucking plot of Baldur's Gate 2 was about the human is the the reduction of deities from being gods to being mortals.
Okay.
Absolutely. Shit, plot lines were derivative of that, you know. And at the same time, you can have other things that I'm sorry.
I need to look at when that came out, because you might actually have a thing with this DC being influencing D&D, because that's actually a plot line within DC with the new gods. They all got turned into humans for a little while.
Well,
So-
that was a plot line with Greek mythology, so DC stole from Greek mythology. So
fair, yeah.
There's not a fucking original thing in a comic book, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
I love
right.
me some comics, but there's not. Comic books were originally written so illiterate people could learn literature.
Fair.
Your original comic books were the story of Hercules as translated from the.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, and I love the media. The art is outstanding. All of that's great, wonderful storytelling. But yeah, that just brings us to full circle. There's nothing original anywhere. So beg, borrow, steal, bolt on, tape together, and throw it back out and have fun with it, man. Don't ever feel like, well, I saw that in a comic book once. Well, the comic book artist saw it in Gilgamesh. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
Have fun with it, dude. Take those as inspiration, man. And the more often you can tie it into something that your players are familiar with, the more they can engage with it. That, you know, those basic principles, whether you're planning an ambush with the goblins or whether we're playing in the outer planes, are still the same. If anything, you might have more points of contact and context now that we're in the outer planes. You can start leaning into the whole gods and pantheons and you know, this, that, and the other, because you can now start relying on more literature than just what 5th edition gives you to play with.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of why I think that them going to a multiverse is a good idea, instead of them just focusing flat onto like Sword Coast or Faerun or any one specific setting. I think that the multiverse thing is a good idea for them, because that way they can still put out all of the content within those worlds, but now you can play within your own stuff, quote unquote, legally. You know,
that's a good idea here. Holy Api says, just because you use the same spice doesn't mean you get the same flavor.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, that's an excellent way of putting it, man. All of this stuff, whether it's 5th edition books, 2nd edition book, 3rd edition books, my World Lit book's still sitting on the shelf that I forgot to take back in high school. Whatever it is, man, that's my spice rack. So if I want to use a lot of this and a little of that, I can do it. And each campaign, each setting, each world is its own meal. And you can flavor it how you want. Totally.
And I can guarantee you that no matter if I could copy a thing wholesale, and it won't be the same, because I'm not as good of a writer as those people.
Yeah, you won't be able to. Well, even if you're not as good, here's the thing. How often does anyone run a pre-written module exactly as it's fucking written? And it's not because of your writing skills, because you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to go with the flow and adjust for not only your party's taste, but your taste. So that, to an extent, makes you as good of a writer as the person that made it, from the simple fact that you have to take their mediocre, half-hammered piece of shit and make it work in a viable adventure for your group.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of why I'm kind of thinking that going forward, this is how they're going to start releasing stuff for 5e as well, because like for instance, we have the sigil information, right? Then we have the bestiary, and that alone, you can make campaigns off of that. Like you can make campaigns just within that information that they gave you, you know. But then there's also the module, in case you don't want to use that stuff. We're still going to introduce you to it in some way, form, or fashion within this world. Here's your module to go with it. And I think I think that's a good way for them to start releasing content. And then again, like that way, when people see it, it's not like, holy fuck, you just released 800 pages of content. How the hell am I supposed to deal with this?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, oh, I got 3 50-page books instead, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, it's enough to get a sniff. It's enough, but it's also enough. It's just enough to fuck over a DM.
I guess it's fair.
As long as you can keep the blinders on your group as they go on their tour of the Great Wheel, what you have in that book is enough. The moment they step off of that path, you're going to be... There's nothing else, because every one of those things says, check the Dungeon Master's Guide for information on this, and you follow that link and you get a paragraph.
Yeah.
That's where I'm saying is the downside of it. Hey, John, good to see you. We all know players like to screw up DMs, right?
Oh,
So that's what I was
absolutely.
saying, man. You're
Absolutely.
trying to present this story and this mission, but you're trying to convince them that all this crazy shit's just happening on the outside of their vision. But you have to pray and hope they don't actually turn their head to look at it because you weren't given the stuff to make that count
Yeah.
as part of the 5e release.
Yeah.
You know?
And I will say this, because we've been talking about do it yourself kind of stuff, is that like, and this would require more work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even going to say that, but you could go, okay, well, this is all it gives me about Carcerai. Let me just make the rest of it up. Like 100%, you have that freedom.
Absolutely.
Until they codify it and go, you're wrong. Like you can just make that shit up.
Yeah, but now here's the flip side of it.
I mean, you can still make it up. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, number one, you can still make it up. I love my players to screw me over. It gets my brain working. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Holy Uppa. And thanks for joining us, John. We're still kind of rumbling along here. Probably got a few more minutes. Yeah. Unfortunately, we go from 3:30 to 5:30 on this chat because we gotta be back at 7 p.m. our time here in an hour and a half for what we do in the Shadows of Barovia.
Yeah.
So we'll be back shortly for about an hour and a half for an actual live play session too.
Absolutely.
Thursday is a busy streaming day for my punk ass. And John and my boy Josh here, dude. He get off work, get straight on, and we're off and on till freaking 10 o'clock, I guess, huh?
Yeah, 11 o'clock my time. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, just talking to Planescape stuff. And if you're one of my regular followers, y'all know Friday is Planescape Day. So if you missed the stream so far, it's okay. We're gonna get into some pretty good depth on it with my 2-hour stream tomorrow, good and bad. Like I said, I'm grumping because I'm an old man. I'm comparing it to this. I know what the porterhouse looks like, and you gave me chicken nuggets. Doesn't mean chicken nuggets are bad, man. Sometimes chicken nuggets are good. So we're going to look at how tasty these chicken nuggets are in depth, and then we're going to look at where the missing steak is, and maybe how to Uber in the missing parts to have a good meal. Might be the best way to compare it.
And I'm coming from a place of like, I know this is chicken nuggets, but as far as I'm concerned, the next thing is chicken strips because I don't know enough about it to know that there's a steak behind it.
That's fair. This is upgraded from Dino Nuggets of the GM's Guide to actual Mickey D fresh ass hot chicken nuggets right now. That's exactly. Look at it that way if we're using food metaphors.
Yeah.
We. I know, right? I'm like, shit, I gotta cook dinner and be back online an hour and a half. I'm getting hungry I want a steak, but no, you damn well I'm eating fucking Dino Nuggets tonight.
I'm actually gonna eat chicken nuggets too, which is the worst part.
Oh Lord, that sucks. I'm sad now. I'm like really actually visually sad now. I'm kidding.
So it's a dumb thing. Monday through Friday, I typically eat vegan food, so I'm eating vegan nuggets. It's not like a moral thing or like anything like that. I just don't eat meat through the week. I still eat meat. Yeah.
Fair. Nothing wrong with being healthy.
I'm a chubby boy thing, and I need to eat more vegetables, and I'd rather eat meat vegetables than real vegetables. That's what that is.
Fair enough. Chicken nuggets, the kitchen gold, right there. Amen, dude.
Yeah.
I still feel the other night when I still kind of feel bad about jumping on Thomas's ass that night.
Oh, about the Totino's.
You a fucking alien or you a Russian spy? How you not know how long it takes to cook a Totino's in America, man?
Oh my goodness.
4:50, 9 to 11 minutes. Do it.
See, and for me, I've not touched a Totino's in forever, but like I'm one of those kind of people who like I like pizza, so like I try bunches of different shit constantly, so like I constantly have to read new instructions on how to cook a frozen pizza because it's like, oh, I've never had this brand before. It could be completely fucking different. Most stuff is like 450, 425, somewhere in that area.
2 Totinos, and now that they're squares, it's even better because you just cook the little bitches right next to each other. You pull them out, and you go, whoop.
Oh my god! I had not thought about that. Oh my goodness! Because normally, what I just would rip them in half and do the same thing. So I never thought about that. That's a good idea. Oh my god!
Not only do we talk D&D, we talk munchy type food here on the Jim and Josh chat, man. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, we just kind of I know we got a couple of guys dropping here at the end. No harm, no foul. Appreciate it. It's always good to see you guys in. You can check the VOD if you want to listen to old man rant and rave about Planescape. If you guys are watching me earlier, I forewarned you. I was like, I'm going to get it out of my system in the afternoon. That way I can be more objective tomorrow. and I did get it out of my system. But ultimately, it's not a bad product. Artistically, it's really pretty. Information wise, it's going to give you enough to either remind you of what you're missing, reinforce what you already have, or pique your interest in what else is out there. So it is going to do a good job as far as a teaser. But it's also, oh shit, we got Captain O for living food. That oh yeah.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so I'm sorry. We're trying to finish up here because I know we gotta
Yeah, go
get
food.
off on RL stuff here, so I apologize. But yeah, I think it's a good book overall. If you don't know better, I think it's okay for a veteran. You don't need to buy it. You're not going to lose anything by buying it. You're getting some cool maps. You're getting some good update. And more than anything, you're actually getting some validation for what we already know, seeing it in 5th edition, close to 97, 98% accuracy. So, if anything, it should be vindicating you to bring in all of that old stuff that you know, because 5e didn't change very much of it at all. So you have the room to really use what you need to do in 5e without worrying about breaking anything that 5e's given you. So not bad. Not
fair.
bad.
That's fair.
Too short, too small. Just too small.
There'll be more. I'm probably.
How you gonna go to the Outer Planes and not tell us about the Outer Planes, motherfuckers?
I mean, that's because they've planned another book that's going to be the Outer Planes, and it's going to be a whole thing. That's all it's going to be about, and it's going to just talk about the Outer Planes, and you're going to do another adventure through the Outer Planes. That's my hope, at least. That's my hope.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hope so. I really do. I mean it.
I think that overall, like Sigil is a good idea for them in general, just because it gives them so much freedom to do whatever they want, in a codified way. Because again, we already know that we can do whatever we want. Everybody's been home brewing forever, but it gives them a way to codify a way for them to have more freedom, and then they can do stuff like with the Dragonlance stuff where they don't own Dragonlance anymore and they had to make deals for it. They can go, well, this isn't Dragonlance, but it is. Because now they have a multiverse where they can play around with it in there. They can do stuff like that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Maybe the Outer Planes are too plain to think of. You see, I actually posted something over up on my YouTube channel, setting up the format. I'm actually going to do what Wizard ain't doing. We're going to go plane by plane. I'm going all the way around the Cosmic Wheel. I'm starting with the 5th edition version of the Gate Town. So yes, I've been reading the fuck out of this book. Talking about how it presents it, comparing it to the original, giving you the theme, and then we're looking at the information for the other side of it. For example, this afternoon, the new one I put up is Regus, or Rigus, however you want to pronounce it, the Gate Town to Acheron. And then we look at it, would do an in-depth look at Acheron according to 5th edition, what the little they give us, as well as a lot of the 2nd edition stuff. So what they ain't giving you, I'll give you. Go try and join me over on my YouTube channel. Yeah. But in the meantime, dude, that's why I was saying earlier, I'm glad that it came out. At least now I know what to spend my time talking about, in the Planescape series. I need to talk about the Gate Towns. They did a good job about the Gate Towns. I'm not going to argue about that. Don't need to talk about the Outlands. Did a decent job about Outlands. Don't worry about Sigil. Did a good job about Sigil. They didn't mention Acheron. I'm going to take care of that, baby, because I love that plane.
Yeah. And the little bit that they did do with those things is like it's just mostly telling you like, oh, this is what people are like if they spend a lot of time in these places, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is something we had talked about earlier, which I think is a very cool thing for monsters, because I'd shown you that I know you already saw it, the unicorn from Gehenna.
Yeah. Gehenna. Yeah.
And I think that's super interesting to go, oh shit, now I can take these monsters and change them that I already have, just based off of this other stuff. And if everybody's not using people from the Beastlands, it's fucking wild to me, because that is so good. That's so. Oh, I can talk to plants and animals. I can see things that are invisible, and I don't leave tracks. Like, you are immediately like either the ultimate ranger or the ultimate fucking rogue, right? Like, yeah, you're a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, that's the downside, because back in the day, the plus minus side of being a character from the Beastlands is you took charisma penalties on everything. You couldn't wear or metal armor of any sort. There was a lot of negatives that used to go with that, but now you just get the positives. But have fun with that shit. It don't matter.
Yeah. Oh,
that was
definitely a power creep thing, I was gonna say, because like a lot of the stuff that they introduced is very like make yourself powerful from the beginning, because it's like, oh, your players start this campaign at level 3, and they get a free feat, and you give them one uncommon magic item to start off with, and it only goes up from there.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, they get at least 3 heroic items by the end of that campaign.
Yeah, the one that came in the box set we're talking about, the Wheel of Fortune or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. You know, see, this is where I start wondering at what point and I think we're starting to see that now, when us DMs are going, fuck that, I ain't playing that game anymore. And if all you're doing is building into that, you're losing customers. Because Wizards knows, and that's why they're slowly shifting the whole thing to smaller editions and digital release. If I don't buy it, my play group doesn't play it. It's that simple. So if it is enough, and if, like what Josh is saying, if there's enough of us full-time, long-term DMs to go, I am sick of dealing with fucking power creep, I'm not touching this, then it dies on the vine.
Yeah. Vote with your dollar.
You know. Huh?
Vote with your dollar. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. So, you know,
percent.
that's why as much as I love it, I don't think that they're going to expand on this. They're not going to be able to monetize it well enough. There's not going to be enough interest in all of the extra stuff to monetize it into multiple sets. We're going to see the what's it called? The deck of many things, break all kinds of sales records, have all kinds of cool Christmas toys and shit, and that's what we're going to see moving forward.
Buy that. I'm not going to lie, just because I like the deck.
The next one will be the book of a bag of beans, and you'll be able to get a
bag of beans,
$40 book with a bag that has random little tokens that you can flip over that tell you what number to go look up in your book to tell you what the bean did. Guarantee it, dude.
100%.
We're still talking a toy company at the end of the day here.
That's fair. Man, they've already given enough money in figure sales, man. They can leave me alone for everything else.
A small echo in the stream.
Books.
Oh, my apologies. But we are a few minutes into overtime here. Unfortunately, I gotta say thank you guys for joining me. Josh, thank you for joining me. And thanks for enduring my rant, dude. It's nice to kind of get it out of my system and come out on the other side and say, you know, it's not a bad product. The 5th edition Planescape release isn't a bad product. Leaves a lot lacking. If you know better, you know better. You know better. You know what to expect anyway. So, you know, you're disappointed on your own dime at that point.
And I think the
new players, I encourage you to look at it. If you're new to D&D, if you're new and you've never looked at Planescape, I think it's a worthwhile investment. I do agree with you, Josh. It is a good entry point from an objective standpoint. But I do caution Dungeon Masters. Do a little bit of extra research before you try to run this module, because there's just enough to get you in a lot of trouble and break your campaigns down. So I would definitely, you know, add that as a caveat.
And that's fair. 100%. I think the main thing that we can take away from this is that going forward, Wizards just needs to start putting new player content into everything they release, and they'll sell more books.
That's a good point as well. Absolutely. If the players have a reason to buy it, then they're going to sell more stuff.
100%.
You know, absolutely. Good point. All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us. John, it's good to see you. Holy up, awesome to see you back again. You know, if you're still hanging loose, we'll be back here in about an hour and a half, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time over on Grizzly 10 Fin. Yeah, that one. I'm going to point over on my side. Yeah, that looks right over there. To make sure that, you know, if you want to join us it's a silly, fun satire. This is satire, man. This is me being so thankful that I have a group of players that is willing to allow me to be stupid as a dungeon master. And more than that, they lean into it and they do a great job with it. We're just What We Do in the Shadows of Barovia. We're taking the show What We Do in the Shadows, Young Frankenstein, all the dumb, silly horror. There'll probably be some Scream references thrown in. Dumb shit to have fun with. Just a lot of stuff.
We're almost done with Timeline 1 for Halloween too, Jim, so we can start doing Michael Myers stuff in there as well.
Oh, snap. What's up with that, right? But yeah. So if you guys want to join us back for that, that's great. But I will be back tomorrow. If you guys want to jump in and get an in-depth look, page by page, map by map, the normal image type stuff I do, we'll hit that tomorrow for my stream. Y'all be safe. Thanks so much for your time. Be safe out there.
Bye, chums.